came out late last week. I saved the article. It's telling for a couple of reasons. Now, we obviously people are saying, oh, high immigration, etc., blah, 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 blah. Look at the communities that are emigrating to Australia. By and large, they're going to be bringing, or they are bringing, a set of faiths with them. They are largely conservative type nations that they come from. So, an article like this, which is that homophobia is on the rise after a long-term decline. Okay, I don't know that people believing homosexuality is immoral counts as homophobia, but whatever. 21% of Australians now believe it to be immoral after a after a previous decline. It's rising again. Okay, well, not much of a bounce, but it's a bounce nonetheless. I mean, it only goes back to 2001. It's, yeah, I mean, that looks like a trend. Doesn't just like a one or two reversal, but yeah, you'd have to look at the fact that you're bringing in a migrant population, like I said, from very conservative backgrounds, and why be surprised that they bring those values with them? And it may also be a pushback. I mean, there was a discussion. We looked at the article last week from SBS about a return to faith by Gen Z of people who were raised atheist or who had previously left a church returning to it. And that I pointed out that a lot of the systems they were going back into were heavily conservative. You had the atheists joining the Eastern Orthodox Church. Pentecostal, okay, well, Pentecostals are a bit weird, but the people joining Pentecostal Church, which is, again, a big step for someone who's never been to a church before, suddenly to go full Pentecostal. But I'd also talked, it wasn't in the article, but also talked about the rise in the Latin rites in the Catholic Church and how much there'd been a pushback within the church as the church was liberalising to suddenly have this somewhat conservative, almost ultra-conservative pushback with people pushing to accept and receive the Latin rites. And the reality is, and I said this as well, that in the last 5 or 10 years or so, you're seeing the church car parks go from empty on a Sunday to overflowing. It was a case where a lot of churches were waiting for the old dears to die off, and then basically the parish would cease to exist. And all of a sudden, there's now an influx of new blood. And it's not a whole bunch of retirees, they're young families that I see heading for it. And the same for the mosque nearby as well. You see the patronage there going up constantly. And so there's a surprise in society that there are suddenly more conservative viewpoints being presented. Well, there was also the thing that representation on social media doesn't count for real world representation. I think there are some people who are facing the consequence of facing the reality that their viewpoint is not actually the accepted worldview. People are tolerating it, but they may have pushed too far, too hard, too fast. So it's also, I think, there's been a pushback in some regards as well about how it's expressed in media and in the society. Along the way, a lot of things I heard from people were they may not necessarily like it, but they hate it being pushed in their faces. They hate the overt sexuality in public that's being pushed through pride organisations and parades and things like that. It's a questioning of why those sort of things, why those aspects of society need to be sexualized. Is it not enough to say this is me and that's it? Apparently not. So I think that's also part of the pushback is this um, repulsion. Ultimately, that's what it is. People repelling it, pushing it back, being obviously in disagreement with it. So yeah, it's interesting as well. And I don't think that these figures are necessarily right, but that's what the ABS says they are. Then, so that's on news. SBS then had, well, a couple of articles. One which may tie into it. If it's just a video, it's just a video. Basically saying STIs and STDs are on the rise in Australia. Funny that. I wonder if that's going to have an effect on why things are turning around, why there's a pushback by the younger society, or younger generations. But again, it's telling to see when these articles come out, what they're being pushed towards. The idea of trad life, trad wife, etc. You've got a person in here who's in support of it. I don't recognise the names. Again, I don't watch trad wife stuff. Uh, but it's okay. It's homesteading is the way I look at it. I mean, people see it as a return of conservative values. It was the before. I remember there was a push in 2000 and, over the 2008 to 2012 timeframe is when I really remember it. That there was a push for like a return to manliness. There was a feeling that people had lost their way, men had lost their way, and it wasn't quite men going their own way, which is been slandered as a misogynistic approach to everything. But I mean, there's articles anywhere you look about, well, what's happened to today's men, particularly younger men. What's happened to men of the younger generation? Have they lost the way? Where's the mentorship? Things like men's sheds. Great ideas. Now, there's also articles about them being taken over by women. And it's like you've got one of the few remaining all-male spaces where they can go and get um, group help, in essence, hang out and discuss things with other men, now being taken over by women. And the one that I saw basically had basically created one tiny remaining little male-only space, and the men that were at the organisation all looked sad because they'd lost their space. When clearly there's plenty of women's-only spaces that men can't go into. But so the art of manliness was a thing that was around at the time, and you see it from time to time. Now, we're not talking like Andrew Tate viewpoints on manliness or things like that. You're looking more, if you want to look at, uh, I mean, there's plenty of, I guess, commentators out there who are your class and the manliness type of things. Almost like a Ron Swanson type of viewpoint, but not the way he lives his life everywhere else. I mean, he's a very much the actual actor is a very hardcore leftist, and so I don't think necessarily that's captured by the whole manliness projects. But yeah, the art of manliness. I mean, it was at a time when emo was sort of winding down, sort of. I saw it as a repudiation of the emo phase for kids. I mean, emo and goth, yeah, two sides of the same coin, I often think. But it was this idea that there was still a space for this idealized manliness of what it meant to be of masculinity. And so the rise in recent years of homesteading, of not so much prepping survivorship or anything like that, but it's self-sustainability, all these sort of concepts that, hey, your environmentalists and your hard left often really support, but done in a way that's seemingly more conservative. I mean, self-sustainability, more the pioneer, not so pioneer lifestyle, but an understanding that it's a return to a more conservative stance. Now, I mean, I look pretty manly. I've got hair there. I wear a check shirt. Missing some hair up there, but yeah, it doesn't matter. Um, I didn't set out to appear like that necessarily. It wasn't an intentional thing. I just look good. Um, but the point is that they're now whining about this tradwife approach. Barefoot and carrying babies. Some women want that. I don't think it's fair to criticize them for that viewpoint. It's just as fair for other women to say, I want to be a career person and that's it. Don't want kids, don't want relationships, don't want this, don't want that. Okay, that's your point of view. Stop forcing it on other people. Just like these tradwives and stuff shouldn't be forcing it on no one else. Certainly feel free to publicize your content so that other people, like-minded people, can come and share in it and you build a community. But the fact that it exists shouldn't be criticized. And so, again, you're looking at the organization providing it, SBS. It's like, well, of course, they're going to be very much down the left side of things. It probably hurt somebody to write this, but it's, oh, look at that. Oh, we warn the message of tradwives is regressive. It's anti-feminist. It leads you to a world of subjugation and extreme content. Um, Clearly, they've got just lost the plot again, based over what happened in the last week or so. Now, yes, there is a linkage with conservative Christian movements, and well, I mean that's purely because the sort of people attracted to it are the sort of people who have a faith attracted to that. Wet roads cause rain. I think the sort of person attracted to that lifestyle would also be a person of faith, of a particular type of Christian faith. That doesn't mean you slander the whole movement because you don't like Christianity. No, no, no. So, blah, blah, blah. Selling this escapist fantasy. So they've found somebody who's done a master's degree and are now holding them as some sort of expert. Well, I'd like to read your essay. I think you've got issues, but anyway. Okay, yep, it's financially inaccessible because it's impossible to people to live on a single income. Okay, well, no one's pretending that it's easy. In fact, a lot of the content is about, well, how do we be self-sustainable when there's hardly any income? Like we acknowledging the fact that you're cutting out half the potential income because you're staying at home raising kids. I mean, yeah, the idea that you can be a stay-at-home mother until your kids are in school or even homeschool them and still be in a comfortable standard of living, it's not easy for a start to get to that level of work, and it's not easy to maintain an economically viable lifestyle like that. You've got to take sacrifices. It's not a hedonistic lifestyle by any stretch of the imagination. So it's third wave feminists complaining by the sounds of things. But then you have one counter example who's basically now being held up as this is why we shouldn't have tradwives. Okay, this person failed. Okay, fine. She lived a fairly traditional life for a while, but it's odd when she left. It's like, okay, so she's dead inside, didn't feel committed to it. Okay, well, did she reach out for help? Did she reach out to a community that probably already existed, didn't know how, didn't want to? Uh, I don't know. There's a lot missing from her story, and um, okay, so she probably suffered a degree of postnatal depression and the realities of living with an infant and child with complex health needs. That breaks up families no matter what sort of person you are. So I'm not going to blame her for saying, oh, it's all bad. I mean, the reality probably is their family situation got very tenuous when a child with complex needs showed up. I mean, sadly, the statistics are that families don't tend to stay together long after that sort of stuff. It's like when there's a major health crisis, even for the adults, there tends to be issues that come out of it. So it's yeah. Uh, so she's basically rejected and violently rejected it, and it's like, well, again, a prominent anti-trad wife. I've not heard of her, but then again, I don't pay attention to trad wife stuff. Um, you don't see trad wives in their 40s, really? Yeah, you do, but that's because they're the people who've made it through the system. And uh, yeah, no, she said. So she's rejected her own moral standing. That's fine, but no, you don't project your morals on others because you couldn't live the life that you thought you wanted to live. And in fact, it talks about, yeah, with the help of a friend, she made the decision to leave her marriage. So she sort of did reach out for support, but the support she got was, had she received support to continue and support with the family and things like that, might it be different? Who's to say? Of course, the article doesn't extend that level of thought because it would sort of bring into question the moral argument they're trying to make. So, yeah, I don't like that necessarily.